Hello, I'm Nagina Abdullah and I help women in midlife boost their metabolism. And today I am just super excited because I have Dr. Maggie who's going to be joining me today. And we're going to be talking about hidden reasons why you feel a stuck metabolism. We're going to be talking hormones, we're going to be talking blood sugar, and we're going to be getting into it because here. We are so excited to have you. We're going to be talking about so many things. So a few things we're going to talk about: how to not be stuck in metabolism. Hello, Dr. Maggie.
Hey.
How are you?
Hey.
Nice to see you. Oh my gosh, so excited to be talking with you again.
Great to see you too.
Yes. Well, we have so much. I mean, when we start talking, Dr. Maggie, it's like we have so much to talk about. So we're like, we have to make sure we cover these points that are so important that people are asking about. But let's start off by introducing ourselves. I just shared I am a metabolism boosting weight loss coach for women in midlife. I help women learn to eat natural foods to balance their blood sugar and live a sustainably healthy lifestyle. So I'd love to hear if you can share about you.
I am a functional medicine physician, an MD, who has been in practice for 27 plus years. I keep dating myself. I myself came down with Hashimoto's, mixed connective tissue disorder. I actually really focus on hormone balancing for people and people understanding their food allergies in a process I call food mapping. A lot of what we do is dealing with people with mast cell, POTS, weight and metabolism issues, hormonal imbalances. And that's what I work on. And we have online programs that are global that people work with us and with me on all of that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, and you have such amazing programs and are really doing some really great work. And I know a lot of people that have that are on my email list or my following are also people that follow you, and they've just really been transformed by the hormone balancing that you do. And so I wanted to, and it's just amazing. They're like, oh my gosh, Dr. Maggie teaches me so much. I feel so much better. I'm more in control. So, I wanted to start off by asking you, can you talk a little bit about, there's a feeling that when women get into midlife that our metabolism can get stuck.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't move. The things that were working before, don't work before. So can you talk about, from a hormone perspective, which of the hormones could really be playing a part in this? And I also want to make sure that we touch on thyroid, because a lot of women are struggling with thyroid as well.
Yeah. I think it's not even which of the hormones, it's an understanding, it's all of them. I'm going to tell you guys that. And the thing is that women, we're talking about women, so I'm going to talk about how they're actually hormonally vulnerable times. And what does that mean is that there's certain things in a woman's life or cycle or period of time, so that where the hormone shifts really quickly from one level to another level. And that is actually a triggering event for a lot of other things, downward cascade of things that happen, whether that becomes chronic pain, weight, mood, you name it. So these are hormonally vulnerable times. And you call that times when people get stuck, but I also see that that's a time when things flare. Not only are some people stuck, some people are actually going downhill during these periods of time. I say flare. So hormonally vulnerable times are, believe it or not, teenagers going through puberty, number one. Number two, cycling women certain times of the month. If you notice that you get stuck, your weight really shifts or is stagnant during certain times of the month, there's actually monthly hormonal shifts. And then number three, I got to add in here is the perimenopausal period of time, which for women are dependent. There's a range anywhere from as early as 35 all the way up to 55. That's a really common period of time when you say women get stuck. But what they don't realize, and your doctors don't realize, is that's a period of time of extreme flux of the hormones going up and down. And that is a triggering event. And when you say what hormones are involved, I'm going to tell you all of them. So when you think about the sex hormones, it's going to be like progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, big deals, right? But when you're also talking about hormones, you got to talk about adrenal hormones, which your traditional doctors know jack shit about. Excuse my French. I'm a fan of the cursey words. And so adrenal hormones work with your ovary hormones to fuel metabolism together, along with your thyroid hormones and also insulin, which is your blood sugar balancing hormones. All of these are working together. And just like I tell people, it's like a table. And when you start pulling out one leg of the table, the other hormones start to wobble and go along with it. So it's all the hormones, the sex hormones, the adrenal hormones, the thyroid hormones, as well as the blood sugar balancing hormones like insulin hormones. And so that's first question. Second question is, what does the thyroid have to do with it? And I'm going to say everything. And I teach everybody, I teach, okay? And one of the most important concepts to understand is that the thyroid hormones, active thyroid hormones, there's a receptor on every cell of your body. So it's an on off switch. So if your thyroid isn't in optimal functional range, I'm not talking what's normal at your lab, what's the one lab your doctor says is normal. But when we look at thyroid, I'm looking at all the functional values, and I really know how is the function of your active thyroid hormones. If they're not within range, all these different pieces put together, literally the on off switch of every cell is on or off. So you're going to have gut cells that don't heal. You have energy making cells, cells that make brain hormones for your mood. All the metabolism that you're talking about, every cell in your body have switches to turn on and off for metabolism. And the thyroid, active thyroid hormone plays a huge role in that. So a really important piece is understanding how thyroid and your sex hormones and adrenals interact. But the other piece is also the current landscape of how we treat and diagnose thyroid problems is utterly in the shithole.
Mm-hmm.
So people are not getting real answers as to what's going on with the thyroid, and they're being erroneously told. And I even have a big post in my Facebook group this past weekend on Saturday, which was about how medical gaslit people feel. And thyroid hormone management, testing, understanding from a provider standpoint, for a lot of people who are the recipients of that care, feels like we're being medically gaslit.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, because you're not being told correct information at all, and that's because they actually don't understand it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So thyroid plays a huge role in metabolism, in other hormones, in weight you're talking about, and it affects every cell of your body. But unfortunately, lack of medical training and misinformation and medical gaslighting has caused people to not really get a full scope and an accurate scope of where the thyroid is at.
Mm-hmm. So some of the things that people are told for thyroid, like if they have high antibodies maybe, or if their levels are off, are they just told to like just wait and just not do anything, or just get on medication if it's bad enough?
Well, that's the only option. So where I see many places that go wrong with thyroid, and I focus a huge part of our program on thyroid, is that number one, the antibodies aren't being tested to see if someone's low thyroid. Well, first of all, people are being inaccurately diagnosed with not having low thyroid when their thyroid suck. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. More like this. Right?
Yeah.
Number two.
Wow.
Number two, if they even have low thyroid, they're being told that it doesn't matter to check their antibodies or not, because even if it's autoimmune versus regular low thyroid, the only solution is whether we give you medication or not,
Mm-hmm.
which also isn't true, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's many ways to actually optimize your thyroid and evaluate your thyroid. And then number three, there's many people who actually have low thyroid and autoimmune disease of the thyroid who have negative antibodies if you're lucky enough to get the antibodies. In fact, the vast majority, I would say 80 to 90% of people we work with in our program that actually have low thyroid and poor outcomes because of low thyroid have autoimmune disease of the thyroid with either the antibodies never being tested, or it was tested and it was normal, those two antibodies. And can I tell you guys why I think 80 to 90, I know for a fact 80 to 90% of people with autoimmune disease of the thyroid have negative antibody testing. Do you know why? Anybody out there? Okay, anybody watching, people that have gone through my programs would know. Do you know in your thyroid alone, right here, walnut-sized gland, there's over 6,000 different targets of autoimmune attack. 6,000 different targets. Now, most doctors, if you're lucky, get testing for two. And if those two targets are negative, does that mean the others, 5,998 targets, are not targets of autoimmune attack? No, we just didn't test you for it. And truth be told, we only have about 10 or 11 tests for about out of those 6,000 targets. So how many people actually have autoimmune disease of the thyroid are not being diagnosed, and how many of their providers and they themselves, the patients themselves, don't understand that it's an autoimmune issue, is really a huge staggering number. And this is another reason why so many people don't realize that they even have low thyroid, or that there's an autoimmune condition going on, or that they're being medically gaslit, because their doctors don't realize that even those antibodies, if they're negative, it doesn't mean they don't have autoimmune disease of the thyroid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of things that are happening that it's just people don't know, physicians don't know. So it's leaving everyone in this confusion and you know, and and not knowing what to do. So okay, so from your perspective, Dr. Maggie, what could women do to get their metabolism going in a safe way, you know, in a natural way to start with, if possible? What's your perspective on like where to start and how to get that metabolism going? Is it even possible?
It is possible. These problems are completely solvable.
Mm-hmm.
I just really want people to register
Yeah,
it.
that is
Whether
good.
it's whether it's weight, metabolism, energy, pain, food reactions, you know, blood pressure issues, dizziness, anxiety, these are all solvable problems. And I like the question where you're asking me what are people to do? I'm going to turn it around on you with the
Okay.
question. Because I know in the training and interview we did before, I talked a lot about blood sugar, insulin, the role of hidden polycystic ovarian syndrome, or the role of hidden hormone patterns that are actually triggering people's problems with metabolism. And you and I had a big old powwow on that around blood sugar, which I hope everybody joins the conference and watches, okay?
Yeah.
But I'm going to turn it around for you because I think the biggest lever in metabolism has to do with blood sugar balancing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm going to ask you, as an expert in metabolism,
Mm-hmm.
right? What do you think is the number one thing that people can do to start looking at balancing their blood sugar?
Yes. So I mean, and this is so true. I'm so glad we're talking about this because a lot of times, you know, we're taught to look towards medication or towards like doing something that's artificial, supplements, all of those things. Yes, those have a
Yeah.
place if needed, but there is a huge foundation that most people are still working on setting in the right way, and that is really knowing how to
Yeah.
eat and what to eat.
Yeah.
And, you know, even in the conversation about thyroid, a lot of what's happening, especially for women in midlife, is that they're under eating. And this is very impactful of not giving our body the building blocks to create our thyroid hormones, to create our other hormones. And it's also causing more fat storage than is needed if we knew how to balance our blood sugar. So balancing blood sugar doesn't mean that you don't eat sugar. It doesn't mean that you don't eat the foods that you love. It really means that you're adding foods that help stabilize your blood sugar, and also learning to combine your foods, because what's happening is if we eat foods that cause a spike in blood sugar, what happens is at that moment our body's like, oh my god, I need to get this blood sugar out of the bloodstream, so it releases insulin, which brings that blood sugar levels down by taking it out of the blood and storing it in our fat cells. So when we're not balancing our blood sugar, our body is balancing it for us by storing fat, and we could instead be burning fat with what we're eating if we're eating food in the right way, because adding the right foods actually increases our metabolism. It boosts our metabolism. So yes, so
And we're totally in line with that. That's your eat more philosophy.
yes.
And so for me, though, it's also really important, and I'm going to add to it, and that's going to be eat more. And believe it or not, it's eating more fat. Like for me, one of my biggest things is we've been told to avoid fat, avoid fat, avoid fat. But fat, especially healthy fats, has such an important piece in hormone production and metabolism.
Yes.
So, and it plays such a grounding role in your blood sugar throughout the day that it is like, it literally can hold your blood sugar much more stably instead of allowing it to swing up and down. Fat will really hold it there for you and help you maintain a much more stabilized blood sugar throughout the day. And people don't realize, especially when we're talking about fatty liver, a lot of your audience is very educated and they understand fatty liver is fat sugar turning into fat and being stored in the liver. And people don't realize that you don't get fatty liver by eating more fat.
Exactly. And you don't gain fat by eating more fat. And the thing is that if you're being, you know, taught in any way to take out a major macronutrient, it's just not right. Like our bodies need it, even carbs, like even eating carbs. So I teach this method, which is called eating slimming carbs. So slimming carbs are carbs that don't spike your blood sugar as much. So they're not gonna create that up and that down. They're things that are more, they have more fiber in them. They're more complex. So, you know, like rice alternatives like millet or buckwheat, or eating sprouted grain bread or sweet potatoes or things like that. But, you know, Maggie, one of the top ways to balance blood sugar is exactly what you had mentioned that I talk about, which is eat more. You want to eat more, and you can still get healthy. You can still slim down in a healthy way, but it's to do protein more. Like that's the number one thing to stabilize blood sugar is to make
protein.
Sure protein in all of your meals. And it really starts with breakfast. That's the one that especially women will miss that and grab quick, or just have coffee with a little bit of, something in your coffee, but really adding that protein in the form of, for example, eggs. You could have cottage cheese. You could have Greek yogurt. Those are healthier dairies. You could also do a protein powder, or or anything, or even like something that you usually have for dinner, having it for breakfast, or having smoked salmon or something like that. Really adding that protein to your breakfast is going to stabilize your blood sugar. And then when you add any kinds of sugar next to it, or any kinds of carbs like bread, fruit, anything else, because you have the protein with it, it's going to stabilize it, and you're not going to get the blood sugar spikes as high as you would have before, meaning you're storing less fat, and you're going to get your metabolism going like that. So,
well, and that's a concept mirroring what we do exactly in our hormone programs and our main programs, and it's called grounding your carbs.
Oh,
Right?
Yes.
Right. So you're grounding your carbohydrate in a meal with protein, with fat, and that's what grounds and prevents the fat from just going, the carbs from going with your blood sugar, right?
Yep.
The other aspect of this is that order really matters. I actually tell people that, like in any of our programs, I tell people order freaking matters, and that includes your meal.
Yep.
So I have a lot to say about like what's the right order with which you eat your, let's say you have fat, protein, and carbs on your plate. Well, I always tell people eat the carbs last.
Yep.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't mean that you're not eating your carbs. Like that's the beauty of this, of what we're talking about. You don't have to not eat your carbs, but know how to eat it, because your blood sugar is not going to spike as much as if you eat your protein and your veggies first. So yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and this can come into play. For example, if you're having a meal, like something like meat, rice, and veggies. So usually we put everything on top of our rice, and we would eat that. Or we would, I'll talk about a sandwich in, another example. But the way to balance your blood sugar is have them as like 3 separate things, and start with your veggies, then do your protein, and then have the rice later. And if you're doing a sandwich, actually an amazing way is to make it an open-faced sandwich. Start with the veggies and the meat first, and then eat the bread afterwards. So you could do this anywhere you are. If you're at one of the conferences that only serves sandwiches, just open up your sandwich and eat it in that different order. So it's like you're saying grounding your carbs.
I also called it the deconstructed sandwich method.
Oh, okay. Yes. Awesome. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And the thing is, like, if you're in a public place and you're doing this, guess what? Like, I used to do this all the time when I go to conferences, and I thought in the beginning I would think, oh, someone's going to look at me and think,
like, what are you having? How come yours looks so much better than mine?
Well, yeah. Well, what actually happens is people are like, oh my God, that's so smart. How do you know to do that? Like, people start following these tips because they know, like, everyone's looking for the right ways, and they know that it's not right to eat so much all at once.
It doesn't have to be hard.
Yes.
And that's the thing, is these are not only solvable problems. In fact, it doesn't even have to be hard to solve.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And then for me, like what I think about when we were talking about hormones, thyroid, and all of that, is that there's an education piece. What you guys are paying attention to right now is that you're learning something. It's like success leaves clues. So I love the fact that you and I are sharing what we have done and what successful people have done to get these results. You don't have to go like try a million things to find the right strategy. Why not learn from people who've successfully been able to do it for themselves and for other people, and just do that?
Yes.
Right? Success leaves clues, cut to the chase, learn from the masters. That's a really important tip.
Yes, absolutely. So, well, and one of the things I want to share right now is that, I just finished day 1 of a 5-day live metabolism boost, where every day I'm teaching exact ways to get your metabolism going. Today, we just talked about metabolism boosting breakfast routines and exact protein, more breakfast, bloating water. And you can still get your spot at that for those of you that are here that haven't gotten their spot yet, because we're only accepting people until Wednesday. But but today, what you can do is you can either go to the link in my bio, or I'll post the link right here to get your spot. And so it's a 5-day metabolism boost. We're talking about exactly how to combine your foods, food frameworks, and it's not about meal planning or counting calories. It's more about knowing these principles and just knowing how to order your food, knowing how to create a plate that has all of those things that are boosting your metabolism. Okay, so I just wanted to share that. But Dr. Maggie, what you were talking about the fatty liver, and you were touching on that, and I wanted to just dive into that a little bit more and ask you a little bit about, like, what is the role of the fatty liver in metabolism? Why is that something we should know more about, or that we should be more educated about?
So I teach this in our hormone balancing program and in our main transform program. And this is a concept that's really important. And I think our regular medical training misses it. They think that fatty liver is a result of fat. It's not. It's a result of actually poor carbohydrate metabolism, too much high and low blood sugar, to be honest. It's about sugar, not the fat. But the problem is the liver, and the problem and the beauty of it is that the liver has a role in making hormones. So how important in balancing hormones, we're talking about hormones, how important is it that your hormone making metabolism, the mechanism is good, right? And that comes from your liver. Then there's a second layer of this, which is then hormones have to be broken down. So once they're made, some of them do their job. Some of these are breakdown products. They got to have a way where your liver breaks it down and then it goes down your digestive tract out that way. So we got to get rid of those hormones. So hormone balance is a dance of production and metabolic breakdown, right? And so the liver's involved with both and has a role in both. So if someone has a fatty liver, a lot of fat in their liver because of this blood sugar problem, then their ability to make certain hormones can be hampered. But the worst part of this problem is the ability to break down the hormones. So what you see is people with fatty liver, they may be making hormones in a normal way or it's slightly decreased, but because the breakdown is so far lower, they accumulate a lot of hormones. So these are the hormones that can really actually affect your metabolism, your weight, and everything. So you can get buildup of extra estrogens. You can get a buildup of excess testosterone. You get these states where there's a ton of insulin being produced. You can have a buildup of adrenal hormones like cortisol. And it's not good to have too much of these hormones. Too much of these hormones stimulates fight or flight. Too much of these hormones causes anxiety, insomnia, heart racing. Too much of these hormones actually impact upon your metabolism. So this is why it's really important that we look at fatty liver as not just some rare esoteric cholesterol problem, which it can contribute to. The biggest problem fatty liver is the role that impacts on hormone balance. And when your hormones are off, either some are too high and some are too low, the pattern really shifts to a point where it favors disease, slow metabolism, weight, disease, autoimmunity, mast cell problem, POTS, you name it. All these things build up when your hormones are out of whack. And it all starts with blood sugar imbalance causing fatty liver.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And then, I mean, that really also that really creates that link of blood sugar and why your blood sugar is not balanced. You're going to have issues with your fatty liver. That's going to have, recurring, that's going to in turn have, create problems with hormone imbalance. So all of this it's all so important. And we're not talking about diets. We're not talking about not doing things. We're actually saying, eat the right foods, eat more, do it in the right way, balance your blood sugar, then understand these major processes in your body. It's not just about calories in, calories out here. It's so much more to boost your health. And it's just a real natural way.
Well, calories in, calories out is to me completely outdated and simply asinine, because it really doesn't take into account the hidden role of actually all our hormones. Like, to me, when you optimize how your hormones are balanced and how they're working together, literally every single process in your body can get biohacked 10 times better, right? So it's not just about what's in, what's out. It's what's about in between that. In between that is your body and your hormonal balance. So this is why balancing hormones is like a love and passion of mine, because it impacts every single symptom that you have. And that's a way to turbocharge it, is fix the middle, not the front, not the back. It's in the middle, and which is hormone balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Oh my God. Well, Dr. Maggie, you have some amazing things happening right now. I'd love for you to share. I mean, I don't want to spill the beans, but you have like an amazing book So I would love for you to share where people can find out more about what you're saying. Because like literally we talked for about 30 minutes, but this was like just a tiny amount of really what's going to change the metabolism. There's so much more
Yeah.
with balancing blood sugar, all of it.
So number one, I have a program to help anybody balance their hormones all around the world. It's called My Hormone Masterclass, and you can check that out. And it's myhormonemasterclass.com. The other thing is, yes, there's an upcoming book. It's going to be launching shortly. You guys are pre-launch. So for those of you who want to learn more about it, you can go to the book website called 8outofthebox.com, 8outofthebox.com with the number 8, because that's the infinity sign, and I love that sign. So it's 8outofthebox.com. You can check out the book pre-launch. Go check it out right now. Yes, you can get a copy. FYI, so wanted to let you know that that's coming up, and then official launching is about a month from now.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Okay, and how can people find out about the Hormone Masterclass? What is the site?
myhormonemasterclass.com, everybody.
Okay, let me just put that in here. I'm just myhormonemasterclass.com. Okay.
And what's cool is I think the last time we did a live together, the last time I talked about it, I mean, there were so many people from your audience that we talked with, and that were so interested in it, and they have joined the hormone balancing program. It's been so much fun to see your people with my people. So I love it.
Yes, that's so great. So I just put it here in the I put it here down here for you to just check it out. You can go to myhormonemasterclass.com. It comes up like that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, so the other thing is, Dr. Maggie, so the 5-day metabolism boost I'm having right now it started today. You can get your spot at masalabody.com/boost. And so same thing, Dr. Maggie, so many of your people joined the 5-day metabolism boost, and they really have learned so many things about hormones, and now they're learning more about like different aspects of food and balancing and things like that. And it's like they're loving it too. They're loving doing both. You know, it's like such a great compliment. So that's why we up here on here too.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys know is that I'm going to share this video with my audience as well. Check out my YouTube channel, everybody. It's my name, under my name. And then we have a Facebook group called Transform Your Health Naturally.
Okay.
You could join the Facebook group as well. I'm going to be sharing that in that group. We're almost at 100,000 people in that Facebook group. So I'm going to share this video in there with them, as well as on my YouTube channel as well. So everybody in my audience can play full out with in your metabolism boost. That'll be great as well.
Yes, that would be amazing. I mean, this is the core of how to really transform your health, hormones, blood sugar, eating, and then you can stay away from all the medicine and all the other things that are going to have so many other effects as well and are really temporary. So oh my gosh, Dr. Maggie, this has been such a joy again seeing you. I'm just so happy we got this time together again, and we'll be in touch for sure, and just keep up your great work, and I can't wait for your book to come out too.
I'm excited too. Thank you for sharing me with your audience, and vice versa. I can't wait for my audience to see you again.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining.